Hello and welcome to What We're Watching. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Ed. And John.
Okay, so does anybody want to jump in first? I have something, but it's kind of weird because it came out a while ago. It just took my husband and I forever to watch it. So
I think that sounds perfect. Why don't you start?
So,
wait. There's not a fourth member again. We miss Liz.
We miss Liz. You
Okay,
know, sometimes you just got to record when people can record. So, you know, you do what you can do.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so The Great on Hulu.
There's already a doc about you out?
Oh, it's totally about
Catherine the
me,
Great?
Catherine the Great. Okay, so my husband and I did not watch the first season when it came out. And then when the second season was being promoted, I was like, honey, I think you might like this. We should watch The Great. What? You have a question?
Didn't you? I thought you watched it before the second season came out. Or just it was being promoted?
I think it was being promoted. So we started it
I thought it was before that, but all right.
a little bit before the second season came out, but then we were ready to launch into it when the second season started. It had already been out for a couple weeks. So we didn't have the big lag of waiting for things to show up. For anybody who has not heard of it, it is about Catherine the Great in Russia.
Ooh, I nailed that. I totally wasn't guessing that off the bat because, you know, whatever. I don't watch the stuff you watch.
Well, that's true. But it is, in fact, Catherine the Great, who I don't know that much about, which also makes it kind of weirdly funny when you're like, this is historical-ish. I mean, it's real modern in the way they're talking to each other. And
Not Bridgerton.
Yeah, no. They are just using profanity like craziness. And just, it's got a very fun tone. Like, it's kind of ridiculous and very fast-paced. And everybody's just frantic all the time. And there's a lot of killing and ridiculous violence, but it's done in...
Sounds great.
I don't know why I wasn't particularly interested when it first started, but for some reason, when the second season was being promoted, I was like, oh no, I think I
Were you
like
waiting
this.
for like the next the next generation of this series, the best?
The Great, the best, also good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Queen awesome.
We'll see if they're
And why didn't they go that direction with like kings and queens? Why isn't there Queen awesome?
Queen Awesome? Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Anyway, it stars Elle Fanning as Catherine the Great, and Nicholas Hoult, who is great.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, is it about a boy, John? Is that what he's from when he was little?
Yes.
It's so funny when you're like...
I was like, I feel like she's not going to say this.
I know. You were making a face. That's why I was like, uh-oh, I better... Because, I mean, he's been around as an adult actor, and people recognize him from the X-Men franchise. He was like a blue creature
Yeah,
kind
I think
guy.
my favorite...
I think he's
What was
called
he?
the Beast.
Oh,
my favorite performance of his was definitely Warm Bodies. I mean, it's like almost exclusively voiceover of his, but it's so great because you're buying into all the expressions, et cetera, et cetera. So love him. Yep.
it was just on recently, Classic Catherine. I was, flipping channels like it was the 90s, and Warm
Gotta
Bodies
watch
was
that.
on. And I was like, oh my God, he's so good in it. I'd kind of forgotten that it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And then now having, The Great, just watched it and have a lot of Nicholas Hoult sort of in my brain.
Well, I mean, technically
Yeah.
it's an undead him, but
Yeah, it's an undead him. Yeah, he's fantastic.
I wonder, is it a slightly different flavor? I'm sure there's an example, The Great, of Nicholas Hoult, or Nicholas Hoult in The Great. He's playing he's not exactly a hero, and it's such a kind of a loose, edgy, fun character, which is more so than he usually gets to play, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like that's not what he normally does.
So it turns out this is a very fun thing that he can also do.
Apparently, yeah. Well, it's interesting because Warm Bodies is closer to a comedic performance than you normally get from him, but this is just like straight comedy.
yeah,
what he's
comedic
doing.
in like a deadpan, kind
Yeah.
of like actually deadpan. Why isn't there a zombie movie called Deadpan? All right, got some ideas in this episode.
Elle Fanning, fantastic in it. The costuming, unbelievable. All of the set design, beautiful. It looks so amazing. I had to look up where they shoot it, what the locations are. They shot in England and Italy, so that's St. Petersburg. It looks stunning. The castle is in Italy for the exteriors, and then England, there's some interiors. It's gorgeous. this is going to be a Lodge 49 connection.
Ooh, all right.
Adam Goodley, or Godley, maybe? I think it's Godley. Adam Godley, who plays the Archbishop and is so weird and gross and horrible and awesome, was in Lodge 49 and was great.
You got to wonder, growing up, if someone was telling him, I don't know if acting's the direction. He's like, no, they 100% need people just like me.
They do.
I'm the one and only of me.
You need all sorts of people.
Yeah.
And sometimes the weirder, the better. I mean, like, that's
Ron
what
Howard's
happens.
brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he is great. In Lodge 49, he's actually playing such a straight man that it's,
It's
almost
not as
boring.
fun. Yeah.
This, he's getting to play an absolutely ridiculous and terrible person. So it's something I don't know if you've ever gotten to see him do.
Correct. It is so enjoyable. He is just chewing up the scenery with his craziness.
I did
It's
not know
amazing.
that he is the voice of Pogo, John, in the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, yeah. I think that was known at the time, but...
It is known, but it's not very satisfying.
Oh, he's
'cause
definitely...
you don't get to see him.
Not much, and he's definitely not like a voice that I would necessarily be able to pull out of the ether of like, oh, that's who that is.
Well, I would suggest if you haven't watched The Great, jump on it. It's 2 seasons, 10 episodes each. They're hour-ish, and it's so fun and so enjoyable. I really, really liked it. It took us just forever to get through it, though. But every time we watched it, we were like, God, that's a good show. God, that was fun. We want more of that, but it's time to go to bed, so we'll have to wait like another 2 weeks before we have a chance.
Well, it's a period piece. It can wait.
Nah.
I don't know what's the joke there.
It has to have had time to be a period piece. So no matter what, you have to wait for a period piece. So wait a little longer. It's fine.
Now I
It
get
took
it.
a
It's not
couple
gonna get
hundred
old,
years.
yeah.
It's fine.
I am doing similar because I watched season 1 later, but not as late as you. I have not yet watched season 2, but I do love it, and I will at some point.
Get ready. It's very, very fun. So we just finished that. I'm kind of sad that we finished it because, every time we went back to it, it was just such a delight. We were like, oh, geez.
Well, they nailed the title, and now it's a real struggle to find something else that's that great.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, that is true.
I mean, you do realize the guy who created it and wrote a lot of it, this guy, Tony McNamara, he's Australian. A lot of stuff that I'm not super familiar with, but the movies, last 2 movies that have come out, the next one hasn't come out, but The Favorite, which was...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had pointed that out to me when we had previously had a discussion about The Great, and I did not realize that, and I did not watch The Favorite, and I probably should, because tonally, are you saying I would like it? It's sort of in this vein? No.
In this vein as in a period, but taken from a different and slightly more modern bent. The Favorite is not as fun. And also, it's a challenging film piece, which is like why it got a lot of attention. Then also did Cruella.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Look, this looks stunning. You could almost like pause it or freeze it or whatever, and just like every frame is just so gorgeous. I also think that Cruella was like that, like just beautifully designed.
Yeah, it's almost like if he's familiar and comfortable writing in such a lush environment where you're going to have like, oh, well, there's an entire castle and like everybody's wearing gilded everything. I'm going to write that way.
Yeah.
Felt similarly, there was just gobs of style in Cruella, like way more fashion than I was expecting. Was this from the dog animation movie from like 60 or 70 years ago? Okay, that's a lot of fashion. I love it. Okay.
The other thing worth mentioning for season 2 is you get a Gillian Anderson as her mom. Oh no, are you?
Well, I haven't seen it, so I'm just imagining, and
It's very fun.
I mean, what you didn't say about the plot was that, so yes, Catherine the Great, but it's not, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not a student of Russian history, so I don't truly understand why she is called the Great, but we're talking about her as she is entering into, this, or just marrying the king, so she hasn't yet achieved those things, and also as a young person, and not from the same, area. Is she? I think she's not Russian also,
She's
right?
not Russian. She's German. Look, I 100% am not a history person, so I have no idea what anything is. It was all news to me, which is kind of funny because somebody who might know things would be like, oh, well, of course she doesn't get killed or this happens or that happens because they know history. I don't know, so I'm constantly surprised. I'm like, what? She's German, and her mom very much like purposefully tried to marry all of her daughters to kings. What? And then what is going on with Sweden at this time? What is happening? It's all done in such a funny way. The history lesson of it is kind of lost a little bit, but
It feels like the right storytelling, although this is actually really happened. It feels like the right storytelling of like a Cinderella. Wait, wasn't Cinderella's mom trying to marry off all the daughters? Yeah, that's how that kind of went back then. It isn't going great. Can we get into the castle? All right, you're getting married.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, historically, they at the top of each episode say, I think it's not that it's sometimes true, I think is what they say. Like the story of Catherine the Great, that's sometimes true or something like that. It's just like a little graphic.
Comma asterisk thing. That's,
it's
a good, right. We have a real attitude going into this. Got it.
Yeah. I mean, not a history lesson.
I would have taken Catherine the Great, asterisk, and then every episode is like, well, she hasn't done that yet.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so there you go. Catherine has done the Great. About Catherine the Great. Ha ha ha. Okay.
Okay, it's not about you, Catherine.
It's always about me. Oh my gosh. All right, who wants to go?
What was I going to talk about? Did I want a combo, John and I watching something in the theater, or potentially leave that for John to talk about? I think I'm going to do a combo of what John, our mom, and I all watched together.
What?
The other night.
Don't worry. There's no way you're going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. So you can talk about whatever you want.
Wild Mountain Thyme, which was a rom-com, perfect in the John category. And I also like a nice rom-com, although I wish it were more romance, more rom.
More rom than com?
And
Wait,
more
what?
Com. It was
yeah, in the end, it was basically just a drama, kind of. It was, I think that's unfortunately why maybe it didn't find a great audience. Was like, yeah, you saw this preview, and then you were like, wait, what is this thing? And it was like, yeah, really, what is this thing?
Oh, that's hard.
But it was very good and fun and entertaining, but also constantly not really what you were expecting.
Yes, it's almost like you want the love story to work out, and you're waiting for the love story to work out, and guess what? As a classic love story type movie, it works out.
Oh, wait, does it work out?
How it gets there is you either sign on for the bizarre tack at humor that they're going with the win that they've got, or you're like, whew, there goes that boat. I don't know what that joke was. But I did sign on for it because both of the main characters are Irish, right, John?
Well, sorry, wait. Are you saying the characters are Irish or the actors are Irish?
Characters are Irish.
Characters are Irish.
Not the actors. And I wasn't even worried about their accents or anything like that. It wasn't like a super Irish movie where you're like, oh no, I recognize John Hamm. And
John Hamm is being an American though, but yeah.
Meaning they cast more than just one American and then everyone in the entire town, original town. Like, oh yeah, I've seen movies where those are clearly the actual townspeople in Ireland. So given that we had Jamie Dornan and Emily Blunt as the main two that are, kind of falling, for each other, Jamie Dornan's not necessarily in the comedy realm, but as a frustrated man who can't figure out how to get the girl and just keeps blowing whatever opportunity he thinks he does or doesn't have, if he'd had some levity in him, it would have been gold. But because I understood that that's where his character might be coming from, because I realized, oh, most of the stuff that he's doing is actually really flat humor. It's it is not registering at all for anyone. And you'd have to be watching this movie and going, I want to laugh at this, so I'm going to enjoy him messing up right now.
Yeah, it's incredibly flat. There's the sort of part of the climax. It's the romance. Also, these two characters are coming together, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, what? This is insane. This scene is still going. They're still insane. What is going to happen? Because it still doesn't seem like it's going to come together. But it also is now looking back at the male character, Jamie Dornan, you're like, oh, right. So I get, yes, what was happening this whole movie that kind of was weird and didn't make sense? And yeah, right. Okay, now I kind of get it.
Yeah, it also would have 100% worked, not exactly the same story because they have gotten on in their years as the characters. It would have worked as two 20-year-olds Totally. We would have bought the exact same, like, no, we lived next to each other forever. We can't date. This isn't going to work. We've got to try something else out. I don't like you. I don't like you. And then, it works out. You're like, yeah. But these 40-year-olds, you're like, I don't know. I kind of agree with you. You should be pissed at each other that it hasn't worked out so far.
Yeah, that was an interesting...
You waited a real long time.
Yeah, it was an interesting angle that they did, that they pretty much, you kind of had to just read in the subtext, but like, oh, right, at this point, your parents are very old, if not.
Is Christopher Walken somebody's dad?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yep. Yeah, he's great. But it's like, oh yeah, and now you're like, you're definitely like in charge of the farm, but not as a 18-year-old or 20-year-old or whatever. It was an interesting, like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, no, things are off track. We're not doing any kind of classic on track story.
Yeah, and on top of which, you got Christopher Walken determining at this point in the movie whether or not he's going to give the only person who's operating the entire farm for the past 20 years, his son, the farm or not. Maybe he'll just call in a cousin from America. What crazy storyline are you writing? Because your 70-year-old ass needs to be giving it to your 40-year-old son. You need to chill out on that.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, on top of that, it was a weird, it was that kind of classic setup that's, oh, well, this is absolutely going to cause a problem because you have this expected resolution that's like is totally pushing another direction. You also had, so there are two farms right next to each other. They didn't fully explain, and maybe because I'm not a farmer, I don't understand, but like they had some kind of gate problem with their right of way. So they had like extra gates that were like right in a, like, oh, you're going to use this 17 times a day? No wonder you hate this. And so it also is like, right, so maybe these farms belong together or something. You know what I mean? But then they didn't, it was like, wow, these are just some real cracks in the foundation. Got it.
Overall, I know that the experience of watching the movie was great. And I think the slight miss for almost the entire thing was they cast high. They cast all the great spots, names I know. So now I know what I'm going to get out of their performances. I've watched some, I can't think of the name right now. There was this one Irish Academy Award winning movie from like 15 years ago, and it was a total surprise. It was this old dude who just, like, three old dudes in a town, and one of them's like dies, so the other two have to like take care of whatever his last wish was.
We're not talking about Waking Ned Divine, are we?
Thank you very much. Sure, I could not come up with that, but that's Academy Award winning Waking Ned Divine. Didn't know a single person in that. Everyone was awesome. How are you going to gauge a 65-year-old Irish dude against an 85-year-old? You have no way of knowing. They're all just old. You give me Christopher Walken and John Hamm, I'm like, they're practically contemporaries. Get out of here.
Wow, almost.
So this was on Hulu, or where did you guys watch it?
That's not important.
Yes, we watched it on Hulu, and so can our listeners.
Well, wait, with mom? Oh my God, hysterical.
What were the options that we put forth for ourselves? That
Mulan,
night?
so like children's movie.
But like, the live action, so slightly upgraded, more tension, not actual just kids movie, but
And
still.
then I also felt like there's that Operation Mincemeat, which is a World War II movie, but it's not. Look, as if you aren't paying attention to the world, just can it. It is slightly, I think, not incredibly serious. I think it's slightly funny. So I was like, okay, this isn't just a pure war killing drama. This is like a fun period piece in a serious situation. So we had those three. I forget if we came up with a fourth, but I was like, here are three very different options.
And then, it was like, well, let's go with a potentially funny romance rom-com type movie. And then hour and 40 minutes, they were like, well,
I mean,
it worked out great for him. I wish that they had joined the Eurovision contest, because that would have been another level that they could have done. Nope, just an Irish love story. Great.
Just dealing with the farm.
Yep.
Yeah, I did. There was this Swan Lake thing. It was really just that she listened to the music, and I was like, okay, I really don't know Swan Lake. Now I'm going to look it up. Is this story? And it was like, not really. Yeah, that's kind of not what it was.
It was a patchwork blanket of a story, and it warmed you up and put you to sleep.
All right.
But not necessarily all the pieces. You would not want to look at all the individual pieces and go, why'd you pick that? Nope, just stay warm. Get in this movie and get warm. Go to sleep.
All right.
Do you now need to blow Catherine's mind with one of the more important facts about this movie?
I don't remember, but you're gonna have to.
You
bring it up.
remember because I did it. To you.
Yeah, no, you did it to me because
Yes.
I had asked, "Is that so and so?" And then now I don't remember though. So go for it.
Look. There's no way to not make this story work perfectly. I feel like, but we're gonna start in one place and we'll see where we get to.
Okay.
So, do you recognize the more important writer, but also director, John Patrick Shanley?
No, the name sounds familiar, but without.
Okay. So he does a lot of
pulling it
plays.
up.
Yeah,
Okay.
He did some other things. So then he did his first movie, Moonstruck, Academy Award winning script.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Then he did 2 movies I don't know very well, Five Corners and The January Man. Then guess what he did and directed?
I have no idea.
Joe versus the Volcano.
Okay, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
All right, now just to skip around, he then did or wrote Alive, We're Back, A Dinosaur Story, Congo, and then Doubt, the Philip Seymour Hoffman
Wow, he's
series
been
one.
all over the map.
He also directed Doubt and this, and I think there's another one that are come from his plays. So, but yeah, he's an interesting dude apparently.
Wow. Joe versus the Volcano is really, how is that in there?
That's Killmon family favorite right there.
It's such a
absolute top tier.
I love that movie.
And when that all came to light after we watched this and John and I were talking, I was like, well, hold on, let me think about it. You got a guy who hasn't quite figured himself out, and then he's got a love interest that he hasn't locked in for like the length of the entire movie. Joe versus Volcano. Why read a theme, sir?
Yeah, I did not see that, and I think it is pretty true.
Interesting. Wow.
And I really
that's
don't know
interesting.
Moonstruck, but I want to put it there too, but I don't know it at all.
Well,
I'd say
Liz loves Moonstruck,
I have
so.
given Moonstruck another shot in the last decade. I don't remember it, but I gave it another shot in the last decade.
All right. Wow. Okay. So that ended up being an interesting pick that you guys ended up watching. Wild Mountain Thyme.
Which,
All
you know,
right.
that's high on the list of our listeners' cues and watch lists. or not even on it at all. Oh, wait, now it is. Ooh.
Sometimes it could be something that you're unaware of, which I think that's good too. All right, John, what's your deal?
All right, I'm gonna
Mind breaker. Go for it, John.
Sure. No, but I mean yes. I'm gonna follow in it,
Uh-oh,
and
okay.
then accentuate the theme of not timely, but not incredibly. So we are talking about the 2015 Burnt, as in burnt toast, but just burnt.
But just burnt. Wait, is that the Bradley Cooper movie?
Yes.
Oh, where he's like a chef, but also so grouchy.
Oh, here's the deal. As I forget. I want to say there's a phrase, but it's like American Bad Boy Chef Adam Jones. Yes. There's an article in the thing that says something like that. Here's the deal. This falls into, I feel, the underappreciated Bradley Cooper.
Okay.
Oeuvre.
Oeuvre.
Whatever, or section. More importantly, let me not mispronounce and say words I don't know enough about. I don't know when I saw it. I feel like I saw it on streaming later, and I was like,
I feel like I did too. I wanted to catch it in theater, but it wasn't like you got to see this. And I don't know, 2015. I looked.
yeah. I mean,
I don't remember what I was doing, so I have no excuses.
I loved it from the first time, and I was like, wait a minute. No, this is fantastic. I mean, look, I do love Bradley Cooper for sure. I mean, Hangover, sure, that was fun. But then it was really Limitless. That was for me what
Limitless, he was quite amazing.
It was, I mean, it's such a perfect movie in some ways. So then he did a lot of other things, right? He was an alias, all whatever.
Sure.
And then we have
Silver Linings Playbook. I mean, come on.
Well, here's the deal. 2011 Limitless, 2012 Place Beyond the Pines, and Silver Linings Playbook. I'm skipping over other things.
I forgot about Place Beyond the Pines, but yeah.
So I don't remember Place Beyond the Pines.
You're lucky. It's fine. It's a downer.
I hate to say it, I don't love him in that, but it was like a slightly, we're talking about a period of time where these are like kind of important movies. Mm-hmm. So then 2013 American Hustle, 2014 American Sniper.
Oh, wow.
So then this is the next year. I mean, like such a string of years that's kind of incredible. So also,
but you can kind of see where after that run, Burnt just kind of got lost a little bit, I think.
Well, and Aloha. Those both came in the next year, and neither did people love.
They were so off his demo. I feel like I'm not going to make a wild guess, but between all the movies that came out, if I'm executives at the studios and I'm sitting on Burnt and I'm sitting on Aloha, I'm going to sit on those and wait until he's big enough that I'd still cash in. Because if those came out first, like, imagine that those had been written and shot because they're not huge effects movies and it didn't take 3 years to come out.
Well, here's where I'll digress a little bit is, so Aloha, that was Cameron Crowe. So that was supposed to be a big hit. I mean, he, unfortunately, they weren't all big hits. Elizabethtown with Orlando Bloom, some of it didn't work for people. And then this is John Wells. So Mr. ER, this is his third movie, actually, or that he directed. Unfortunately, none of the three movies, well, yes and no, to a degree. The first was The Company Men, Ben Affleck. I love that movie. It's like, unfortunately, it's like all dudes, but such an incredible movie. But then he has August Osage County. So that did get a good reaction. It wasn't exactly, I don't think, a commercial hit. But then we have this third movie at Burnt. And so John Wells, very important in Hollywood, but then, not getting a great reaction. So my disagreement is like, well, these two movies should have done well. They were supposed to do well, then they didn't.
Wow, interesting. How did you end up going and watching Burnt? I
swear, because now we're talking about who knows when I saw it, 2016, 2017, and it's like, well, I'm definitely a Bradley Cooper fan. I liked all these other movies. Sure. And it's funny, there's so many little like film genres or micro genres that I do like. I do like a chef movie. It's sad. We need our almost chef Elizabeth here to appreciate that.
Oh, she would.
But whatever. But on the other hand, I don't know how many chef kitchen movies that I do love. So it's not that I've seen a million.
5-Year Engagement.
Yes,
there's a lot of cooking in that.
It's just so
funny.
hot.
I just needed those onions chopped.
Oh, such incredible. I pickled everything. So, and I mean, Ratatouille. I mean, there are a couple.
Yeah.
But I don't know that there are 20 that I've seen and liked. I mean, I think it's like under 10. But apparently, I'm like, no, I do like it. Not that I'm going to seek it out, but...
But you'd be down for another one if there's a chef movie.
Yes.
Or a kitchen movie. Do you think it's kitchen or chef? Which is doesn't matter either.
Okay. The ones I think that for me end up being somewhat, star related, so therefore it feels chef related. But I mean, this is one of the Exhibit A's for me. I saw it and I was like, wait a minute, this is fantastic. So here's the deal. Before we get into theoretically the more important part, so who wrote it though? Because John Wells did not write it, but Stephen Knight wrote it. So he started in film and then eventually came to TV and did Peaky Blinders.
Oh,
so that's been a huge hit. He also did See, the Jason Momoa Apple TV series.
Okay.
But he also did quite a few other things, including writing Eastern Promises, the Viggo Mortensen movie, Locke, which he directed, the Tom Hardy movie that everyone loved. I mean, it was kind of
Wait, is that the one?
Yes,
he's
where he's just in the car on the phone
talking about cement?
Yes, it's freaking fantastic. I mean, no one saw it then, but now it just the ball has continued to roll and people continue to find out.
That's so interesting. Yeah, Sarah brought that movie to my attention. It's my daughter Sarah.
Yeah, I had heard about it for a long time and never watched it, and then like 2 or 3 years ago when she talked about it and finally heard about it, I was like, all right, fine, I'm going to watch it. And I was like, yeah, it is really good. I mean, on the other hand, it's just a dude in a car, but it is good. Yeah, it's because Tom Hardy is great, so that helps a lot.
How does he sound in that movie?
Look, he's doing a fun voice. It's not a crazy voice.
I'm only saying because it's just him in a car on a phone the entire movie. Like, Tom Hardy's bit is, can you understand what I'm saying?
No, that's not his bit. How dare you? But yeah, it's quite good. So I mean, so he wrote that, he directed that, and then he's also done some other things that I like. Pawn Sacrifice, chess movie, which is really good. He did Allied, the Brad Pitt war movie.
Wow.
That I thought was really good. He's done some commercial stuff. He did The Girl in the Spider's Web, the new one. That was okay.
All right.
He also wrote and directed Serenity, the Matthew McConaughey movie. That was okay. It was like they really went for something and it didn't quite work. So whatever. He also wrote Spencer, the Kristen Stewart Princess Diana movie.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So pretty serious, heavy-duty writer. So that helps, I feel like. But then when you just talk about the cast, and I think I looked this up because I was wondering, like, did it say on the shelf what the deal was, And I think it was just Bradley was booming, and then John Wells was going to make this movie. It was from a good writer, and they got freaking everybody.
The cast is amazing.
You know, it's weird because some of these people are, you know, are they a cameo or are they not? But almost all of them really get used quite a bit. So, or, you know, at least a couple scenes. Uma Thurman gets only, you know, I think she gets 2 scenes total. So, you know, yes, that's more of a cameo. But she does a great job. It's very fun. Sienna Miller as the romantic interest is so great. She's very good. Gotta love Sienna Miller.
Yeah.
Emma Thompson as his therapist is freaking fantastic.
Really?
Yes. She's a different example where she's playing apart from the rest of the cast. That's not how all of them are done, so it's not like, oh, well, they always were shooting them separate. No, a lot of time they're in the kitchen or in the restaurant with all these other actors. Then you have kind of a class of people that were either established or getting established and, you know, kind of like they're now huge people. So Omar Sy, you know, from Intouchables, French actor, he was great and very fun as one of the foils in the kitchen. Matthew Rhys from The Americans.
Sure.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah.
And it's a weird, like, they used to be friends. He considers him a friend, but they are definitely enemies. And it's like, well, how do we do it? But it's like, I guess this is how we do it. Okay. It's crazy. He's very fun. I really like it. Daniel Bruhl from Rush, German guy, you know, he's quite, I love his character. He's in love with Adam Jones. Adam knows it. It's a trippy setup, but it's very fun.
I love him. Have a weird little connection.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
What is it?
He was in The Alienist. Did anyone?
Yes, which I have never seen. I really have wanted to see.
Eric and I watched that, which the connection being to The Great. It's the sister, Dakota Fanning, is in it. Yeah. That's where I know him from. The Daniel Bruhl.
What? Yeah, you know.
Is he Swedish? What is he?
I said he was German. Let's see.
Oh,
if
German.
I'm right.
Okay. I don't know.
Nope.
Who?
Spanish German. Spanish German.
Really?
Bro.
Oh, okay.
Take it easy.
All right.
Let's see. I wonder if he was born in Spain, then grew up in Germany or something. It's got to be interesting. Oh, his father was a German TV director. Mother was Brazilian. Wow, all kinds of stuff. Shortly after his birth, they moved to Germany. There you go. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's very good. You know, he's done a little bit of stuff in the Marvel Universe. He's very fun. He's a pretty serious actor, but he gets in some of these fun movies.
It's so interesting because a movie can just be off your radar and then gone and you don't think about it. This is really bubbling it back up to like, no, go watch that.
It's when you consider, so then now, so I'm just going to keep going. There's just more great people. So Alicia Vikander is like this, his ex, and she only gets probably like 3 scenes.
But she's amazing.
I mean, she's great. She is great. In the movie, it's like, okay, whatever, that's the ex. But it was like, yes, more. Where now? Yes, let's do this.
Someone
scene.
else great. Fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. Lily James, she gets very little. I think she gets 2 scenes maybe.
Wait, is Jamie Dornan in it?
Jamie Dornan is the solo example of someone who got cut. They cut out his scenes, which is crazy.
Oh, no.
I mean, look, he was already a big deal. You know, he'd already done 50 Shades of Grey. So, like, it would have been amazing to have him in it, but unfortunately, he cut.
Well, you know, sometimes
too bad.
you don't have room for all the sides.
Oh, how dare you. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things that makes you really feel that he is supposed to be Sienna Miller's ex that, like, you know, is not in the picture anymore. So I don't know. I mean, you know, they have a kid together. Maybe that was how he was going to play in, or I don't know if it's going to be flashbacks, but whatever.
Just a layer of complication in life.
They talk about him like once, but you never see him. So unfortunate.
Maybe he runs a farmer's market.
They did not talk about if he was in the, you know, food chef kitchen space. So I don't know. Yeah, so that completes kind of the people you know. Then they have 3 other people. Riccardo Scaramillo, he's an Italian actor. He was fun. He's doing a ton of Italian work that I haven't seen, but it was like, wow, you're really good. I would like to see you. I should go see those other things. Sam Keeley, this Irish guy who's done some TV and film. He was so good. And then Sarah Green, she's in Penny Dreadful, which I have not watched.
I have not watched it, but I've been interested in it.
Yeah, she's quite good. Rewatching it again is like, you just find more moments that you like. And, you know, there's this one moment where they're, you know, it's like, okay, we're relaunching this restaurant. Okay, it's not open yet. Oh, we had a bad opening. Okay, now we are going to have like, now it's going better or whatever. And then, oh, we have to talk about Michelin. Do you know the Michelin Man? And it's like, what? Oh, okay. Oh, right. We all know, okay, the Michelin Guide. And so you know, they have
Michelin
reviewers.
stars, sure.
Yes, that are secret and no one knows who they are. And so, but they have habits. And so you pay attention. But the first time they explain this, there's this moment where, you know, okay, so like Daniel Bruhl is like the maitre d', right? That's the word I was going to forget. Bradley Cooper comes in kind of later as the chef. So Sarah Green is kind of like, I don't know, she's like the second to the maitre d'. I don't know, however that works, but whatever. So she's not a waiter, but then she's helping coordinate the waiters. So whatever. So then they're talking to the waiters and the servers because that's who are going to be, informing and helping everybody know what's going on in the restaurant, right? So they're like, oh, the Michelin men. And so this one character, you don't really get to know any of the waiters, but she's like, oh, is it a book? And she's like, it's the book, Yana. It was like,
it's the book, Yana.
It was like, you're watching it again. You already have all these great moments.
That's a great line
I was
read.
like, I love that one. And I had to spend 2 minutes explaining it, which is ridiculous. So anyway.
Wait, did you say where you saw it? Did I miss that?
Oh, now?
Oh, sorry.
Here's the deal. It's on a lot of the weird streaming with ad services.
Oh, okay.
So it's on.
So it's watchable, but not on
So yeah, here's the deal. Whether it's Roku, Vudu, Tubi, or Pluto, they're using
Freevee.
those. But here's the deal. Freevee, formerly IMDb TV.
Is that what happened? I didn't realize that that's what was happening because I started seeing Freevee all the time, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah. So that's that little line.
They rebranded themselves.
Yeah, it's the line on Amazon Prime that's like, "Also watch these."
Yeah.
So
that's
where
with ads.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So that's where I watched it. I mean, you can also rent it, but it's not streaming without ads anywhere at the moment.
Right. I mean, occasionally things just pop up on a cable, Showtime might have it at some point or
that
whatever.
Doesn't count.
But, yeah. Okay.
We don't talk about that.
All right.
Like it's the 90s, Catherine.
I mean, that's how I end up seeing things like this, like the 5-year engagement. Catch it from the middle and then be like, wait, what? Why didn't I watch this? It was on, Showtime or HBO or whatever. And I was like, well, then where's your on demand? Because I'm going to now watch it from the beginning like a real person would do.
Yeah, you're bad about that. So apparently I'm not going to talk about the plot at all. But
You shouldn't. No, don't. This is a good
just
recommendation.
The people. I mean, you got to see it.
Just the ingredients.
Oh, I'm even forgetting there's another...
It sounds delicious.
There's another person in there who's recognizable, sort of on a not A-list, but like he's a good actor. But I would be asking Liz, our chef, cook type person, cooking questions. But one of them is turbot. It's like, why are they so obsessed with cooking turbot in this movie?
Is turbot a fish?
Yes, it's like a white fish, I think.
Okay.
But I mean, they probably say turbot 30 times. And we're probably
turn it into a drinking game.
Yeah, exactly. we see them cooking
Dangerous.
it. I mean, it more than 5 times.
Oh, wow.
It's a plot point between, you get Sienna Miller and her daughter. Her daughter does such a good job. She's very fun.
Uh-huh.
Sienna Miller makes her eat turbot for breakfast. It's really ridiculous. And like seemingly maybe had done it multiple days in a row. I was like, wow, I would not want to be that child, but okay.
It definitely feels like there's a specifically named fish that's around whatever time the movie comes out that in 2015 turbot was huge, but now turbot's extinct, so you can't get it.
I don't
or
think...
it just may not be the fish of the moment.
Yeah,
Or tilapia. That's not a real name. We made that up 6 years ago, so let's stop using that in the scripts.
No,
okay.
I thought for a second you were talking about sea bass versus, Patagonia.
Chilean sea bass.
Anyway, so yes, I'm sure it was just heavy at that moment, so... whatever, it's all good. I mean, what's also happening at that moment is, I don't know how many years after that, there's some, it's not the molecular gastronomy, it might be, but it's also the sous vide bath that's like, doing the water, and these people are not from that school, so there's a whole but it's like, well, that's probably of that time, a little bit. Not that some restaurants still aren't doing it, but it makes me think a lot of questions about the kitchen that I don't know, but I do really like it.
Interesting.
Can I do one more thing on food or kitchen related? John, are you a fan of Big Night? And I know we're missing Liz, who's probably the biggest fan of Big Night.
The biggest fan of Big Night.
It's not that I'm not a big fan. It's that I've only seen it once, and it was not at the time, but, maybe 2 to 4 years later, so now 15 years ago. And I liked it a lot, but it was like, well, I don't know. And then I have not made an effort to watch it again. And so maybe it's, foundational but subconscious for me, but... It isn't a conscious love.
All right. Well, I was just checking.
Just on that note, hilariously, my daughter and husband are watching that CNN show, Stanley Tucci discovering Italy, searching for Italy, which of course the joke is, yeah, haven't you found it already? Like how long?
Didn't you get a flight to Italy?
I mean,
you got out of the plane. I think you found it.
It's interesting because Stanley Tucci, I guess his family is Italian and they went and lived there for a year. His dad was a teacher and wanted to go and, I don't know, look at art and just, so they talk about it in the show itself. But just realizing that like, oh, that's why Big Night. He's very into that whole thing. He's very much a foodie and very much the Italian food is such an interesting...
Do they talk about that in the show?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. Because I feel like, I don't know, even it's not that I've forgotten he was in it, but like, it's been so long you separate him from that. So
What, from Big Night?
Yeah.
Well, he co-directed it, so he's listed as the writer and the director, and he's one of the two brothers. When I think of it as his movie.
Right. I guess partially what I'm saying is you don't think of it very often anymore. And
that's true.
And you think of Stanley Tucci and the other things he's done more recently. So I was just thinking that, oh, Stanley Tucci in Italy, you're like, whatever, Stanley Tucci, Italy. Yeah, that makes sense. You don't like, oh, that movie from 20 years ago. Yes, that's why that makes sense.
Well, I guess that is how my mind works, but I think it's because of this CNN show that Big Night is kind of top of mind for me, even though it is old. I'm very currently aware of it because of seeing him dealing with food.
Here's the deal. We're going to do a Pew Research focus group. And, we want to know the people who haven't watched Stanley Tucci's Searching for Italy and why you think he's doing it, because I have a feeling very few of them, especially none of them under 30, will say that. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, I don't think they have any. Most people, don't have any awareness that this would be why he is interested in Italian
I'm just
food.
excited for the sequel that's coming out, Big Breakfast.
Oh, Big Night. Oh, I'm like, what?
He's finally doing a series, Big Night, where he's going and doing one big night of dinner with a bunch of different families each time.
Maybe it was small breakfast, medium lunch, big night.
You are both ridiculous.
Yeah.
All right, so now do you want to extend this episode and talk about a million other shows?
I'm watching a bunch of other stuff. I'm watching Shining Girls on Apple TV Plus. I'm watching Stranger Things on Netflix. For some reason, I'm taking a little while to get through it. Of course, watching Barry. I'm watching The Time Traveler's Wife, which I would love to get into with you, John. I think that would be an interesting conversation. That's a little bit of a recap.
All right.
Tim, the Traveler's Wife. Time Traveler Tim.
His name is not Tim.
Tiny Tim, the Time Traveler.
Tim, the Time Traveler, is a tongue twister.
As long as he doesn't get into any trouble, then there won't be any time twists to tongue twist your way out of.
I do have to say, I didn't watch the Time Traveler. I can't even say it. Now that we've done that.
Time Traveler's Wife.
The Time Traveler's Wife movie.
Movie.
So this was new information for me. It's weird how I was watching multiple things with time travel elements, and they all have their own different rules. Mm-hmm. So this one definitely has its own rule book of how that is working and what he can do and what he can't do and bumping into himself, and it's all interesting. Anywho's it. Okay, we can wrap it up. All right, so I brought The Great and a bunch of other stuff.
But you mostly talked about The Great.
I mostly talked about The Great and how great it is.
Where is that available?
That is a Hulu show. It's a Hulu original, 2 seasons, 20 episodes total currently. And third season has been greenlit, but I don't think we have an air date yet for it. So.
All right. Well, also on Hulu, you can watch Wild Mountain Thyme and possibly fall in love or just enjoy the beginning of a relationship. It doesn't really doesn't really knock it out of the park like that for you.
But it is. You said it was comforting.
Hey, lots of games end in a draw. It's fine.
All right.
Interesting. So then I watched Burnt, the movie.
And a big fan. You're a big fan.
Yeah, available on other streaming services that are ad supported or for rental.
Got it. Okay, well, that's it for us for this episode. Please like and subscribe and tell your family and friends, and you can follow us on all of our social media at Podcast Watching. And also you can join our Patreon, become a patron. We would really appreciate that. It's very easy to do. And thank you for listening to
What We Are Watching.